Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Assembly channel, and this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the special military operation on the territory of Ukraine. And these days we were the witnesses of one of the strongest, one of the most powerful battle of the special military operation, because the battle for Vremivka tactical bridgehead is completely different from other types of battles that we saw during the previous phases of special military operation. The thing is that, as you can see on this bridgehead, there are almost no settlements in this area, and there was a real combat when one army were attacking another army and another army were counter-attacking the forces of their enemies. So that was something unique, something special, and probably one side won that battle and probably another side, having a lot of losses, were forced to step back and to create and try to hold their previous positions. So as a result of those 3 days, we see that the Ukrainians haven't established control over even a settlement. Furthermore, yesterday we discussed that some Ukrainian forces made another attempt to take control over Novodonetsk. And there were some updates that Ukrainians managed to capture a small bridgehead in the northern part of that settlement, but the Russians saw probably that it was a small attack. They made their own counter-offensive, and as a result the Ukrainians were defeated, or probably just were forced to step back because they saw that they had no chances to continue advancing in this area. And so this is the end of that battle, or at least we are the witnesses of a small operational pause on this front line. And probably, I believe, in my understanding of the situation, that operational post on Vremivka tactical bridgehead is completely connected, and the reason of that is the situation with the Dnipro River, with the dam, Novokakhovka Dam, and that this area is completely flooded. You might say, what is the connections between these two operations? I must say that probably you heard the options and versions of the Western countries of Ukraine and the Russian Federation understanding of the situation. I see that there are, at least we need to stick to two options, either the Russians and the Ukrainians, because we can't know for sure what exactly did happen there. So anyway, as I understand, there are probably two options what did happen on Vremivka tactical bridgehead. The first one is that probably after failed waves of attack during the first 3 days of in Vremivka tactical bridgehead, after having very heavy losses, the Ukrainians took a decision to change the focus and to show new picture and to force media to forget about battle for Vremivka tactical bridgehead and the results of that battle. This situation with this dam completely reminds me the situation with Bakhmut or Artyomovsk. If you remember, on the 20th of May, Wagner's captured that settlement, and the next day the Ukrainians, to change the focus of the world on another media topic, launched offensive operation on the Belgorod borderlands, and everybody in the world changed their focus. They forgot about Artyomovsk within a day, and everybody were focused on Belgorod. So today we see the same situation. If you remember, the Ministry of Defense reported that Ukrainians during the battle of Vremivka tactical bridgehead lost around 3,715 soldiers. This significant losses. It's around two tank brigades, so the losses are very heavy. And just to smooth the situation, probably that was the reason of destroying of the dam. But from the other side, we understand that probably the Ukrainians were planning to start like marine operation to cross Dnipro River all along the Dnipro River, and probably they have already prepared everything necessary for that purposes. And the Russians at some point understood that maybe they don't have power, they don't have forces to stretch their army from Vremivka to Dnipro, so that's why probably they needed some kind of operational pause, and because of that they took a decision to destroy the dam and not to allow the Ukrainians to continue this operation. Anyway, both these cases explain the situation with operational pause that we can see right now, because as you can see, Right after the dam was destroyed, the active phase of clashes have been reduced almost till zero. There are no more clashes on Dnipro River. There are no more clashes on Vremivka tactical bridgehead. There are no more clashes, the big clashes, big escalation in Ugledar or in Marinka or in Avdiivka. There are no more attempts from the Ukrainian side to attack Bakhmut. There are no more, and the most important, that there are no more updates from Belgorod area about any like attacks, storming attempts from the free Russian democratic forces or something like this. So as you can see, everything are slowed down till zero. Everything is reduced almost to zero. And probably the Dnipro River and Kakhovka Dam was the plan of someone's plan, and the plans were ruined. Furthermore, the Russians published another video how they were evacuating their forces from the islands. As you can see, the water is almost covers half of the body of the soldiers. As you can see, they are trying to probably to get to the evacuation zone. So we haven't received any updates from any side about the losses of any of the armies on these islands. So probably either the Russians and the Ukrainians managed to complete the successful evacuation. The situation with the water is getting better every single minute, and the water is coming more and more, and the level is rising every single hour. And for now, we still haven't passed the moment, this moment when the water started going down. Currently, the water is coming and the level is rising. Now we are moving to Marinka, and as we discussed, the Russians have almost completed the capturing of Marinka. There are a few blocks left, and yes, if you remember, we saw a video in the western part of Marinka when the Russians started using the TOS flamethrower systems, and they were bombing and shelling this part. And today the Russians published another video of usage of TOS-1 missiles in this area, and probably they were starting pushing the Ukrainians in this area as well. They're trying to complete the clearing of these forest lines, so I expect that soon Marinka is going to fall. And when talking about Avdiivka front line, if you remember, we discussed yesterday, these days, as a result of offensive operation counter, the Ukrainians managed to capture this small forest line and the trenches on this hill. So there is like a hill and there is a trenches on this area, but we haven't received any updates about that anymore. So probably the Ukrainians maybe even were forced to step back or something like this, but we need to wait a little bit. Yesterday we had the update that Ukrainians launched another counter-offensive operation from Avdiivka in direction of Opitne. And during the evening of the local time, we got reports that Ukrainians managed to enter this settlement and the northern outskirts. But later, a few hours later, we got updated Russians. Some sources Russians were saying that there were no attacks at all, that was some kind of fake and speculation. And other sources were saying that the Ukrainians used just few tanks or something like this, and that attack was repelled, not even in Opitne, but somewhere in the outskirts of this settlement. When talking about Bakhmut, Artyomovsk, we haven't received any updates from this area. The Ukrainians are still on the flanks trying to penetrate the Russians' defense orders, but as we can see, there were no success during the previous 24 hours. Interesting updates are coming from Kupiansk front line, and the thing is that the Russians are saying that in the vicinity of Masyutovka there was ammonia pipeline, and that ammonia pipeline was and is the part of the grain deal. And according to the grain deal, the Russians were allowed to start supplying Europe with ammonia using this pipeline. And if you remember, during the previous week there were very heavy clashes in this area, and we talked that the Russians, as a result of offensive operation, managed to establish bridgehead on the south of Dvorichne, on the north of Dvorichne. But probably all those clashes had just one purpose, from the Russian side, to secure the ammonia pipeline. And probably ammonia pipeline, I don't know the structure, I don't know where exactly this ammonia pipeline is located, probably underground, and probably there was like a base or something like facilities that were located above the ground. So probably those days there were no offensive operation from the Russian side to encircle Dvorichne or to capture Kupiansk. The Russians were trying to secure the ammonia pipeline according to the grain deal, and probably the Western countries didn't have any other option but to allow the Russians to do this according to that deal. And the Ukrainians during those attacks were trying to destroy that ammonia pipeline and to to break the deal, but not like on the legal way, but using these dirty military ways. From the other side, the Ukrainians during the previous evening launched another counter-offensive operation between Liman, Pervo and Vilshany, using 6 tanks, a few armored vehicles. That attack was repelled by the Russians, and they are saying that 2 Ukrainian tanks were destroyed during that attack. And we stopped receiving any updates from Belgorod, and as we discussed, as I told you, I connect this situation, this reducage of any activity of this with the dam, because the dam, I believe, was a part of someone's plans, and someone's plans were completely ruined by that attack. And that's it for today, for this short video. The Military Summary channel reminds to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.